We're going to be specific. Some people are in shock. They need to know the truth. Okay, anyone less than 100 bob? Okay, anyone less than 200? Okay, anyone now over 200? Oh, already. Let's do some quick maths. It's 200 in 1 week times 52. Who has that maths? How much? 52 times 200 is what? How much? 10,400 in a year. Excuse me? Somebody even used the next piece. Okay? Someone's here. You didn't know. You know. Anyone over 300? Now the hands are going like this. So they're not seeing 400. We have seen 500, 1,000 in a week. What happens is because you don't understand what is going on, you can't take control. And so what we're trying to do is it's not about restricting yourself. In fact, what we're doing after that is we put together what we call a budget. And many times when people hear this word called a budget, they think restriction. We are going to handcuff you, no more joy, no more happiness, nothing is happening. No, write this down. A budget is not for restriction. A budget is for control. And when you come into the 1-1 program, that's what you're going to get, control. Suddenly it is not everybody else planning for your money. By the way, did you know that everyone has a plan for your money? When you go into a shop, they have a plan for your money. Your relatives are planning for your money. So if you don't have a plan, they're going to take over and actually go from there. So when you put together a budget, you are saying, these are the priorities in my life. And I'm going to put money, time, energy, everything I've got towards it as well. Next, you have to measure. And now it is about knowing exactly where you are. How do you know if you have moved if you don't know where you are and where you're going? You have no measurement. And so we have to measure and say, what do I have today? In the class, you're going to put together what we call a balance sheet. And that balance sheet is going to say, this is where you are today. How much do you have? How much do you owe? And now you can be able to say, when I move from here to here, I have actually moved in the right direction. But many of us don't know. We read, how many of us go on the internet and we read Forbes magazine, the richest people in the world, their net worth, 200 billion, net worth, 10 billion. Do we know our net worth ourselves? Who do we measure? If someone asks you, what is your net worth? Do you know? When you get into the class, you'll be able to say, this is who, this is where I am. And then finally, you begin to manage debt. Because if you cannot manage your debt, and so many of us, how many of us have seen what is going on with the credit reference bureaus? So many people are on that bureau because they couldn't manage their debt. And you heard from Takeh talking about the ability to be able to manage that debt and move on from there. So the first thing I hope you wrote it down is to take control. Don't let everybody else take control on your behalf. Number 2, write this down. I'm sorry to say, but we have to manage and take control of our income. If you're going to build wealth, it is simple, it is clear, isn't it? It is all about how can I earn more. But we have never asked ourselves this. Have you challenged yourself? How could I earn more at my job? If you remain at the same level, can you earn more randomly? People are always asking for cost of living adjustment. Really? What else could you do so that you can earn more? And we've had people come through the 1-1 program who've come in and said, you know what, after we were challenged, I went and thought about it. And I began to see, how do I add value at my workplace? How do I add value in any other place that I'm going to earn? So that when I add value, that's when I can earn more. Please do not expect more if you are not being more. You must become more in order to earn more. It's a fact. Increase your value so that you can earn more. Show up early. Show up with energy. Show up like you actually want to solve problems and not just be in the same position that you are. And listen, what? If the job is not the place that you're going to earn more, what else could you do with your time? How many of you, look, you had a free Saturday afternoon that you could, a morning that you could be able to, what could you be doing at this time? Now, I'm very glad that you came here. Very happy. Thank you for giving us your time. But what else will you be doing next Saturday at a time like this? Or last Saturday, what were you doing? Have you challenged yourself in order to look at that? My question is, could you use your skill, your talents, your time to do something extra? What is the world waiting for you to do? So when you leave work, imagine you need to give your all from 8 to 5. But at 5 o'clock when you leave, what else are you doing for the next 2 hours before you go home? And we challenge you in the program. So this is how we go, step by step. Because if you don't go through those steps, then you're not going to be able to take control and actually take action for your life. The third part after income is what everyone is looking for. This thing called strategy. So I'm going to give the example. Remember, she put down an idea. She said, I want to be able to own a home. It's in Rhine, it's 10 million shillings. And she was thinking about it as something she wants to achieve in the next 10 years. So when you set the goal, this is what tends to happen. Now you sit down and say, then how? How am I going to get there? What are my choices, even as I'm going to get to that same place? So some of us will think, I'll get into what? To debt. So I'm going to take a mortgage, or I'm going to borrow a loan. What am I going to do? So you look at that option. But if you don't understand, I'm going to show you how debt works just now. You don't know how it works, you may choose the wrong option for you. Some of you will say, okay, I'm going to do off-plan, no problem. Then they say, okay, there's option of off-plan. What does that look like? You do the research, because unless you write down the plan, you cannot make the strategy that works for you. And then finally, somebody will say, okay, no problem. This one is very famous with Kenyans. We love to buy and build for ourselves. What is the strategy that you're going to be able to put together? You can't do the strategy unless you have written down the goals that you want to do. Then now it becomes execution. This is the process. This is how we go. We started off by challenging and saying, take control. Then we said, we have to manage and take control of our income. Then we have to put together a strategy. And now it's about execution. So I'll move to the next example that we're talking about just now, and we're saying, actually I can show you right now. This is what you would do and make a decision. And I'm going to see if you can help me out to make that decision just now before we get to execution. So here's Jane's option. Imagine this is you looking at your loan. And Jane went to her bank. I don't know if you can see it clearly. Hopefully you can see it there. Those who are online, hopefully you can see as well. See if you can help me to get to the screen there. Jane says now, because she has been to the Centonomy class and she has this tool, she can begin to make choices about her debt. Have a look at that. Jane says 10 million is what I want to be able to buy that house. I want to do so, and so I'm going to take a mortgage. So she says for 12%, 20 years. Now that she has the tool, she can begin to make a choice. And she'll say, no problem, 20 years, 10M, 12%. Then she'll be told it's 110,000 per month for the next 240 months. Hey, now the maths leads to maths, isn't it? If you're doing, somebody here tell me, a house that's worth 10 million, what would the rent be in that house? The one that's in the way. About how much? Come on, guys know this here. How much? Even in general, about how much? 50K maybe, maybe just a bit less than that. No problem. But what is her mortgage amount going to be per month? Double. And double for how many years? 20 years. Did you see the other number that is important to you? Did you note down here? This number that says the interest. How much interest is she going to pay in the 20 years period? Somebody who can see it. How much? That is interest alone. So how much would she pay for this house in 20 years? 16 plus what? Plus 10, which is what? Would you advise Jane to? You would. Then now you have a look and say, is Jane the same as everybody else? Can I show you somebody else who comes into the class? Maybe you're a banker. Or maybe you're one of the large corporations and you have access to cheaper loans. Maybe you're a government employee. Can we look at government employees for a second? What is the rate that government employees get on their mortgages? How much? Do you know? We dealt with one of them and they were getting at 3%. You want to see the difference? Let's have a look. Now, if Jane were a government employee, look at the change. She would be paying how much per month? 55, and pay how much in interest? 3. If Jane is a government employee, should she take the mortgage? Yeah. So when you are making choices without the knowledge, without understanding this, and if you've already taken that mortgage, you've taken that loan, if you have not understood how to get out of the debt as quickly as possible, how do you make choices? So that's what the execution is all about. So here's another example of execution. Can we talk about it a little bit? So that we're not being general, we're being specific. So watch this again, ladies and gentlemen. It says that assets, she said, I want assets. Can you see her goal? I want assets. Name those assets. Real estate. I want government bonds. I want businesses. I want shares on the market. I want assets. Name those assets for yourself. That's what Jane is looking at. And she says, I want assets that are going to pay me how much? 100K per month. Now we put it into action. Did you hear Takeh saying this principle called time value of money? You heard it, right? We must be able to look into the future to understand what is going on. In this room, did somebody ever buy a loaf of bread for 5 shillings? Somebody, do you remember buying bread for 5 bob? Did the bread change? No. But you're paying how much for that bread right now? 16 for the same bread. Please understand, if Jane is planning, she cannot plan in today's money. We must plan for what? Future. So watch what she does. When she does the time value, she must adjust for what? Inflation. So in her execution, we adjust for inflation. Please understand, in 10 years, bread will not be the same amount you're paying today. It will not. So we must have a plan to have more so that we can make a choice. Adjust for inflation. What does that mean? Okay, this one is going to be surprising. But guess what? Somebody here paid 5 bob, now you're paying 60 bob for bread. So let's look at it. If she's looking down into the future, if she's looking and saying, in that 10-year period of time, how much am I going to need? 100,000 today is the same as 600K. 10 years, 15 years from now. Do you see the adjustment for inflation? So she's not planning for 100,000 because bread will not cost the same. Now, in this room, we are not all the same age as Jane. Some of us are young, and I love it when I see the young people in the room because you have an opportunity to plan and prepare now before you make those initial mistakes. But even those who are more advanced in age like myself, who have begun to lose hair like myself, you still have an opportunity to take control and to begin to say, what will I need in future? What will you need? What choices are you going to make? If I'm going to do that, then what is it that is going to pay me this amount? What assets are the ones that are going to pay me this 600K that I need in the next 20 years? What is it? Now we can plan. Because we set the goal. Did we set the goal? We said, I want how much? 100,000. Now we know that that's 100,000 in today's money. So we can plan and say, in 20 years, what will pay me this value of 100,000? So now you can do the calculation, and we do it in the class, and everybody does it for themselves. The coach will take you through so that you have a plan now, and you're able to say, like Jane now, Jane will be able to say, what I need is somewhere between 60 and 160 M in the next 20 years. Now those numbers sound very big, isn't it? They sound like, oh my goodness, when will I ever get there? But can I tell you those numbers in today's money? That 60 M is the same as having 9 M today. If I had bonds worth about 9 M or real estate about worth 24 M, wouldn't they pay me 100K? That's it. So we are planning now for the future. And we are saying, what assets do I need that will pay me what I need in the future? That is what we call execution. If we're going to work this out, we have to get there. And so if we're going to get to this goal, see, we set that goal about 60 M in the next 20 years. How much do I need to do today? Because do I have it today? No. What am I going to do? I start investing today. And you'll come into the class and see, based on the various investments that you have in the session that you're going to go through, we'll talk about unit trust. We'll talk about investing in the stock market. We'll talk about investing in real estate. We talk about investing in government bonds and securities. We talk about getting into business. Each one of them will give you a different return, and depending on your skill, your ability, and the assets that you have today, each one of you is going to make a choice on how you get to that place. And in this case, Jane says, I'm going to put this into an equity fund that is going to start at about 30K per month starting now. Because she has a goal and a plan that she's aiming for. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. If you don't have a goal, you cannot begin to execute a strategy that's going to get you there. Have you written down your goal? And listen to me, it is not as simple as showing up for a session like this today. Because each one of us is different. You have a different debt perspective, isn't it? You have a different outcome. You have a different income. You have a different goal from everybody around you. And so the change is going to happen when each one of us comes into the class, sits down and actually says, you know what, 2023 moving forward is going to be different. It's no longer going to be what I did before. And that's the shift that we're going to see. So when you come into the Centonomy 101 program, this is what it looks like. You come into it, and the aim is to accelerate your journey to financial freedom. That's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to do that by learning how to manage debt, learning how to work the investments work, how to protect your money, and then you design a 5-year financial plan. That plan cannot take place unless you set a goal, unless you put together a strategy and you start putting it into action. Ladies and gentlemen, your financial freedom is here, but you have to step into it. And just like that athlete I was talking about before, the athlete has to prepare. You psych up, yes. That's what this day is for. I'm here to psych you up. I'm here to tell you it is possible. I'm here to give you that encouragement. But let me tell you, I can psych you all you want. If you don't have the knowledge, you can't step into the financial freedom that you want. It takes that moment for you to do. So, it's a 12-week program, and it is purposeful every step of the way. Starting on the 7th, sorry, not January, 7th of February. My mistake when I put it there. 7th of February from the 7th of February, this coming month that is there. Apologies for that, this error that is there. But this is how the program works, and you're going to see it as we go. We start off by personal money management, taking control. What we talked about. How do you organize and take control of your money? And many of you will be shocked, just like you did, that you're giving 10,000 to an amount that you didn't know before. I've told this story 1,000 times. I'll continue to tell it so that people learn. When I did this for the first time, we tracked our expenses with my family. We found that we were spending more on takeout food than our rent. There was a lady who looked at me there like, crazy? Yes, we were being crazy. Because we didn't see it. Do you want to see how that's possible? Do you want to see? Simple maths. So we were spending about 200, 250 bob on lunch at the office. See, that sounds normal, isn't it? 250 for lunch, see, that's normal. It's okay, it's easy. Okay, but there are two of us, so how much is that? 500 in one day, isn't it? 500 times 5, Monday to Friday is how much? 2,500. Then on Saturday, where do you go? After this, where were you planning to go? Please keep going there. I didn't want to stop you going. Just go. But when you go, be aware. But after you go there after this, what will it be? About how much? There are two of us, and you're going to a nice place. Come on. The nice place, like how much? Okay, I'll tell you ours, 3K. So, 1,500, and we thought we were being good. So that's, then Sunday after church, where do you go? Another 3K. How much is that? 3 plus 3, 6 plus 2, 5, 8, 5 times 4, 34,000. We were in a month. Somebody said in a month. In a month. Do you know how much rent we were paying? 28,000 bob. Now, my question to you is this. Then we'd sit at the end of the day, we look at each other with my wife, and we'd say, where's the money to invest? What were we doing with it? Eating it, literally. Guess what? I'm sure everyone is thinking, go and cook for yourself. Isn't that what you're thinking? Okay, good. You know what solution we found? We found it was cheaper to hire a chef to come and cook for us in our house. So we hired a guy. His name was Japheth. He would come and cook once or twice in a week. And you're eating more healthy than you're eating out, and you're saving thousands of shillings per month, and you're not cooking. Do you see that? I'm sure everybody is thinking, become boring, become difficult, but when you set the problem, you find what? After that, we talk about time value of money. How do we plan for the future? How much will bread cost in 10 years so that I don't plan and find myself looking for bread? The way people, 10 years ago, people were buying bread at what? 25, 30 bob? Now they're looking for the same bread at double the cost. How much will your bread cost when you need it? How much will your education for your children cost? How much will it cost? How much will it cost to be able to do all those things? Let me talk about debt management. How do we get out of debt quickly? Living abundantly. That living abundantly class is where you're going to find out what do you actually want. And we have a life coach who takes you through that session where you actually set goals. And we do all of these before we get into the investment classes. Why? Because if you don't have, let me tell you, I can tell you how shares work. Doesn't help you. Because if you don't know how shares, what your goal is, whether you know the shares or not, doesn't help. You need the clarity about that. After that, we get into the investment classes, treasury bills, bonds, unit trusts, property, stocks, insurance. Now after that, how to protect your money. We talk about estate planning, taxes. Because if you don't understand each one of these, you can be developing but going backwards at the same time. And last but not least, we put together a 5-year financial plan, which is saying now, this is my strategy moving forward. It's no longer guesswork. It's no longer what I'm hoping to achieve. This is my plan, and I'm aiming to be here by this certain time. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how it works. As I said, 7th Feb, I apologize for that mistake there. The classes are all online. So everybody who's online and following on Zoom, that's the process that you're going to be going through. Those who are in the room, you'll be logging in via Zoom and able to get into the class. It's very convenient. We take you through how to do that. Now listen to this carefully. It is 1 class per week. 1 class per week for 12 weeks. Because we know you are so busy. Aren't you so busy? Yeah, you don't have the time. And so we are focusing on helping you to manage your time. So you come in on either Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, online, and the time during the week, Tuesday or Thursday, is 6 to 8:30 p.m. So that's the only time. And you can come in on Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday. And Saturday, it's a time like this, from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And you just come once per week. Here's the benefit to you. If you miss Tuesdays, you can come in on Thursday. If you miss Thursday, you can come in on Saturday. You just inform the team and they'll let you into the class. If you know they're going to be at a session like this on Saturday, you come in for the Tuesday or Thursday class. The convenience is there so that you can be able to learn. Now, the tuition fee is only 44,500 and you register today. This is the special open day registration of 500 shillings. It's only 500 bob. And with that 500 bob, kindly you're able to make the payments that way. So I'm encouraging you to do that today. The rest of the fee, the 44,000, you can pay in installments. Because also we know you may not have all the money at once. But you can pay monthly installments. The first one is 16K, then 12,500. That's how it works out. So month 1 before class in February, then you start 16K. Then month 2 and month 3. Quickly, take a screenshot you can take with your phone so that you have the details so you can be able to pay, and I leave that here. Those who are online, M-Pesa 986850, 500 shillings, and you put the account number is your name, and then the numbers 101. Just put 101 afterwards, so we know which program you're going to get. All right? So M-Pesa 986850, we usually register at 1,500 bob, but because you have given us your time today, we're going to do it at that amount of only 500 shillings. All right? 986850, your name and the numbers 101. Just as special couples, if you're coming as a couple, we recognize it can cost a lot of money if you're doing both of you. So there's an extra 10% discount for couples. If you come as a couple, off the tuition fee, off the 44,000, you get 10% off because you're coming as a couple. We want to empower families as we get there. Josephine, are we ready now? I think we are. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Josephine Mbugua. She comes to share her experiences that she went through during this session. But give another hand for sharing. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here. As an alumni of Centonomy 101, my name is Josephine Mbugua, and I work as a senior internal auditor at Hazina Circle. And I'll start by saying why I joined Centonomy. I did it last year, so it's not long. When I got to class, I told myself one day I'll go and testify. But I didn't know it will be this soon. So I'm happy to have the chance and to see that whatever I learned worked so fast. Why I went to Centonomy is because I was in a serious financial crisis. I had taken a mortgage. Ours is cheaper because it was at 3%. But then, it's like I didn't do the maths well to know that I have over-consumed my salary that would help me meet my needs. But I didn't get to know it until the money that I had been given ran out from the account. You know, when the money is in the account in millions, unajenga ukitumia. I was like, I'm constructing, but I'm still using the same money to fuel my car, to live my life, without the consciousness that from when I took the mortgage, I no longer have money to live on, but I had not known until that money ran out. And when it ran out, I realized I don't even, after tithing, I don't even have bus fare to work. It was shocking, it was surprising to me, and the mortgage is for 15 years. So I had to think very fast, how do I survive? I must pay my house help, I must meet my bills, and I have, after doing my tithe, I was remaining with 3,700 shillings only. And my house help, I pay her 8,000. My fare to work, if I would use a matatu, I need 8,000 per month, just bus fare. And I didn't have all that. So I felt I need a paradigm shift of my thoughts. The Bible says in Proverbs 23, Proverbs, is it 7:23 or 23:7, whichever, one of the two, that as a man thinketh, so is he. As a man thinks, so is he. So in my mind, I told myself, I need to change. I need something that will really change and transform my thinking so that I can have ideas of how I can make money to get myself out of this crisis. And as I was thinking, I asked one of my colleagues, do you know of a college or somewhere I can go to learn on how I can make money and change my mindset? And she told me, yes, I know of somewhere. I have had so many friends who have gone there, and after they leave, they do crazy things that you cannot think they are the same people that got into the class. They achieve a lot after leaving the class. And that is the first time I heard the word Centonomy. I had never heard. So I was asking her, where are they? And she told me, just go to YouTube and Google, just check Centonomy, you'll find their contacts. And that's how I joined the class. And for me, it worked. It really helped me and especially lesson 1 to 4. It does not mean the others are not important. I am an accountant by profession, and most of what was taught in 5 all the way to 12 is something I've interacted with, I've done in school, I have even masters in it, so I understand a lot of it. And that does not mean it did not add value to me. How it is presented, it comes out so differently, and so real and so practical. But because there was a specific crisis that drove me to look for the information, the classes that addressed my crisis tended to stand out most to me. So, and it was lesson 1 to lesson 4. The first one was about personal money management. And in that, a number of things stood out for me, and I remember even the question, what do you want, and all that. But in that lesson 1, we were given an illustration of a factory owner and a factory worker. And finally, what was coming out is that we were asked, whose factory, in every spending you do, whose factory are you building? And I realized I can also build mine. As I build other people's factories, I can start my own. It must not be a physical factory, but I need to start something that anytime I'm spending, at least not all the money goes to other people. I need to have money that is still coming to my investment. And from that question, I was able to start some things. Also, in that personal financial management, we were taught about tracking our expenses, and I discovered that most of my money was going to donations. Most of my money was going to donations. Doing so-and-so has died, contribute here. So-and-so got a child, contribute here. This and these are going to visit where, contribute. I realized I was spending money in thousands per week on donations. Also, the M-Pesa expenses were high for me. And I realized, I thought I don't have money, yet I'm really using money differently. And so I came up with a budget and a restriction on putting a budget on this is how much I'm willing to part on donations each month. This is what I can spend. If it exhausts, I'm not going beyond that. I started working now with restrictions, assigning my money and a budget and all that, and I was able to save a lot of money. There was another illustration we were given in that class, and we were taught to look at the room where we were. And we were told, look for all the red items. And I'm very sure if I would do that exercise right now, you would experience what I experienced. Maybe just do that. Close your eyes. Look at what is red around you. What is red around you? Umeona? Then close your eyes. Now list what is green around you. Just list what is green. Some of you are, almost all of you are blank. Is it true? Open your eyes. That is how we get, and the explanation was, you only see what you are looking for. Just look around and see whether there is any green. Are there greens? But how come when you have been told to close your eyes, because I had told you red, you looked for red and you did not notice green. And that lesson stood out for me because the explanation was, if you're not looking for business opportunities, you don't see them. We see what our eyes focus to see. And from that day, I told myself, how many opportunities have I been passing around? I am not noting them, and they are around me. And along the same time, God was speaking in my heart about Hagar. Genesis 16 verse 19, the Bible says that when Abraham chased Hagar and Ishmael, they went into the desert and the money and the water Abraham had given them ran out. When it ran out, they both started crying. And the Bible says God heard the cry of Ishmael and spoke to the mother, Hagar, and told her, "You will not die. I am going to make Ishmael a great nation." And then the Bible says, verse 19, God opened her eyes, and where she was able to see water. And what I was getting is, we are passing opportunities, we are in the midst of opportunities, but because we are not focused, the way we are told, look for green and you can't see, because you are not focused to see them, you are leaving them where you are and thinking going to US is where you can get better pastures, yet opportunities are where we are. And so I started looking at what can I do with where I am to make money to get myself out of the crisis. The final illustration that now triggered me to start in that one class, lesson 1, we were given an example of a lady, I think she was called Amy. She was earning 12,000 and she was living in a house of 3,000. And the expenses were broken down to us in amounts. And the conclusion was, Amy was saying, I don't have money to save, and I don't have money after she has spent on food, transport, insurance, and rent. She was saying, I don't have money to save, and I no longer buy new clothes. We were told to advise Amy. Most of us had great ideas. Some of us said she should move from that house of 3,000 and go to a house of 1,500. Others, we say she should go back to her mother and live with her mother and do away with that rent. We are trying to. And then Mr. Waithaka asked us, can you see how you are so charged to advise Amy of what she should do to cut on her costs? She asked us, what are you doing to cut your costs? Why are you advising her? Don't you advise yourself? And some of us in that advice, we even said, she can even sell snacks in her workplace. And he told us, how many of you can even do what you are telling her to do? And now reality hit home. Like for me, it hit me, and I told myself, by the way, can I even sell those snacks? But I took the challenge and I started selling the snacks at my workplace. Because we are provided tea in our workplace, but there is nothing, no snack to take tea with. And we usually are lazy to go and look for them in the shops if you've not carried from home. And so I saw an opportunity, and that's what I started. And my experience on that is this. I would be able to make like a gross of around 300 shillings per day, which was good for me because I was looking at least for an idea that will give me fare to work. So even 300 per day meant a lot to me. It was gross. If you factor the fuel, because I was selling boiled maize, sweet potatoes, and arrowroots at my workplace. I would sell to staff. In the morning, I distribute. In the evening, they give me the money, and I continue with my work. It used to take me just 20 minutes to just distribute once I get to the office, and then I settle and continue with my work, but at least I would make that money. But what I realized is that people that know me were shocked at what I was doing. In fact, they were ashamed by what I was doing. Because you see, I started introducing myself that I'm a senior auditor. So they are wondering, senior auditor selling maize to us, boiled maize. And that did not only disturb the people in my workplace, it disturbed my people in the family. In fact, my own sister called me and she asked me, are you not ashamed? How do you go selling those things? I told her, from the class I'm attending, my mindset has changed so much, I really don't care how you perceive me. All I'm concerned about is, how do I get out of this crisis I am in and see myself progressing? And I have realized that then I noticed that most of us shy off from ideas because you are thinking, what will people say? And I remember in one occasion going to buy those sweet potatoes from a mama, and I was telling her, Ms. Akuza, she looked at me from head to toe because I parked my vehicle there and I'm buying. And I'm telling her, Ms. Akuza, she looked at me from head to toe and she said, how can you sell these things the way you look? I mean, she could not connect. You don't look like such little things. But what I've learned is that if you want greatness, agree to be humble, go low, work with what works for you, and climb up the ladder. The fact that I start low does not mean I will stay low. That is where I'm starting. But I'm going to heights, but I need to start somewhere. And so I did that. It was able to give me, at least to provide something for me. I also started another business of cereals, which now I shop from. My family shops from my shop. You see, we don't take, I realized what was consuming, in my monthly budget for food, around 8,000 was going to cereals. Around 8,000 was going to cereals per month. And I said, this is somebody's company have been building, 8,000 every month. I will start my own shop, be buying from it, as I also supply others, and I get profit. And that's what I also started immediately, and the business is doing well. It has been able to at least meet its monthly costs, and it is making some little profit. And so I am glad that I started. The other thing I learned is that we were defining we were defining assets and liabilities. Number one, when I checked, I realized that my net worth was negative 9.6. To Mbugua net worth, we've seen even net worth of, it was negative. Oh, okay. So, but with that, I was now able to adjust my life to do away with flow-set assets that take money from you. And at that time, I sold my vehicle and invested to be able to earn more, and I'm earning more. The next thing that stood out is about debt management. I have been able to, because I was in debt, we were shown how to prioritize debt, to clear them within a shorter time, and that's what I'm already doing, and I plan to clear them by end of this year, and it is already progressing. The last thing that stood out is lesson 4, abundant living. We were told, I give you 1 million. In 3 years, I want you to make a profit of 30 million. 1 million capital, make a profit of 30 million. It looked crazy. We were clueless, we were idealess, but in our group, as we were discussing, because we were put in a group, actually people had ideas, and in paper, we were able to make the 30 million in 3 years. And from our group, I took up that idea, and I'm running with it, and it is giving me good money. Right now, I put up a plan of now how I will establish that business in a manner that it will run without me being so much involved in it, so that I'm able to concentrate on other things. But the idea I got is helping me to make much more money. I'm no longer in debts. I'm no longer in crisis. I am making money. God bless you and thank you. I can ask you to join Centonomy because your life will change. Please.
Come on, you can do it. Thank you so much, Josephine. Yes, join Centonomy because your life will change. I will define. Hey, I will refine. I will plan. And I will achieve my financial goals. Let's hear it. And I will achieve my financial goals. I'm going to invite our next speaker, who is the reason that we're here. She gave up a job in a very, lucrative industry of banking and investment. She took a risk and she said, you know what, I've been helping people from my job. What if I did it myself? What if I put together some of these ideas that can be able to help? And our founder, Waceke, Nduati, did that. She took the time to actually put together the ideas that you're seeing here in Centonomy. And not only did she do that, one second, get there. Not only did she do that, put together the program, but she has since also written a book, and I highly recommend it to you. It's called Making Sense. So as you prepare to come to the class, this is a great purchase. You can be able to get one out there. She'll be at the desk signing copies for you as well. So it's a great place to get a signed copy for this. If you can be able to pick up a book called Making Sense, it will start your journey of wealth creation even as you prepare to come into the class. So that's one of the things that you can think about. But we are here to make sure that we make that shift in our lifestyles. Can we put our hands together for Waceke Nduati as she comes to share her experiences and encourage you even as we get into the class.
It is afternoon. No. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hope you are well. And all those who are online, thank you so much for joining us today as we do what? Define, and plan. So let me tell you this story of especially the defining, and I think I want to call it redefining part, starts long before you know it. So, when I was 10 years old, I decided I really liked, even in class, I really liked when the teacher would say, come and write on the blackboard, and then you're with the chalk and you're writing on the blackboard. So I disturbed my dad for a very long time and told him to buy me a blackboard, to buy me a blackboard, to buy me a blackboard. And I really wanted to be a teacher, but I knew it was not a school teacher. I didn't like school that much, so I knew it was definitely not to be a school teacher. I didn't want to teach anybody maths or chemistry or English, none of those subjects, or Swahili. I didn't want to do that. But there was something about teaching, and fundamentally all I am is a teacher. But we all have something, and everything, I've run many businesses, and everything failed, apart from the one where I got to teach. What does that mean? So many things, so many ventures of mine failed, apart from the one that I got to teach. So what does that tell us? There's something in everybody that is calling them in a certain direction. As Waithaka was saying, we go through this education system or life that just puts us what? In a box. And we forget, but you're supposed to operate at a certain frequency in life. And this frequency is asking you to do something. It's like we all have this library of music, but we are playing it at the wrong frequency. What is wrong with that? Will anybody hear the music? Yeah? If you go to another town and you're trying to log on to Capital FM, you have to dial. It's a different frequency from the one that's in Nairobi. So you have to be at the right frequency. So I'm going to ask you, what's your frequency? And for some of you, there's been that inner voice that has been telling you something. For some of us, it's silence. For some of us, even just when we're with other people, there's something that is noticeable about you. All my friends used to tell me me I'm such a good listener. For years and years and years, I've been told I'm such a good listener. Even when I grew up with a very, very noisy family, and they would argue. My dad is arguing with my sister. When we're trying to eat dinner, they're all arguing together. Me, I would just listen to their arguments. Then, when they have argued, I just say one thing. Everybody keeps quiet. Because I've listened, I've absorbed, I've reflected, I've thought. In fact, I used to be told that I'm the party pooper. Because once I speak, nobody else can speak. Everything I've said has cut through all the noise that they were trying to do, yet they were having fun making noise at each other. So we all have that frequency. And what does that frequency help us understand? It's what Waithaka was talking to us about. What do you want? What? Not what were you taught to want. What do you want? Not what did society ask you to want. Not what did culture ask you to want. Not what did your parents ask you to want. Not even your spouse. What do you want? Really? Really? And a lot of things block us to understanding what we want. So we've said, and the other things were put up. By the way, interestingly, whenever we have these conversations, we never seek to plan what we are both talking about. But I guess when the message comes out the same way, God gave us the same message. Yeah? Home, car, money, good life, travel, pay off debt, grow a business. Those are general things that you say, and you know what? How many people want a home? How many people want a good car? How many people want more money? How many people want the good life? How many people want to grow a business? Okay, fine. So it's all of you want the same thing. Can you see you all want the same thing? But what's the problem when I'm telling you but you're on a different frequency? What's the problem with that? What haven't we defined further? So you've said you get this dream home, and then? So, on your last day on earth, a movie screen is put up. And they play your life. In that life, you are living in your dream home. Is that it? Are you happy then? It's your last day and they're like, they achieved their dream home. And then? They achieved their dream car, the good life, money. And then? And the thing is, with what we want, we are always waiting for money to give us the permission, aren't we? You want something and then you look where? At your bank account. In my book, Making Sense, I have said, expecting money to define what you want for you is like asking your 5-year-old child to become the family doctor. Money is a tool for the life you want. It is supposed to be in service of what you actually want. So what do you want? And I'm going to ask you this way, what change do you want to cause in your life or the life of others? Change. How does having a home change your life? Yes, it's a good thing to have, but how does it actually change your life? What are you going to do with that home? Is it for comfort? Is it for legacy? Is it security? Do you want more money or financial freedom? Those are two very different things. You can have a lot of money, but your lifestyle is just getting more and more and more expensive, meaning you have to keep working to maintain that lifestyle. That's not financial freedom. I know a lot of people who earn a lot of money, but they are slaves. So what do you want? Do you want to pay off debt or live well in retirement? Because if you make your goal paying off debt, guess what will happen when you pay off the debt? You'll have to acquire more debt to pay off because you have made your goal pay off debt. So without proper definitions of what we want, it's a rat race. So you're working harder to earn more money, and then what do you do with that money? You spend. The world is never going to run out of places to spend your money on. Never. You buy something the latest, there'll be something else that actually comes out, yeah? It's a flashy lifestyle. It's more friends. You have more money, you have more friends, correct? Yeah? It's big businesses. So it has to start with, what do you want? And sounds so basic, but it is so hard. Are you having a moment of realizing you don't know what you want? You may not know exactly what you want, or why you think you want the things you want, yeah? So in our Centonomy programs, that's the fundamental, and that's why we have classes called Living Abundantly. Because it doesn't matter how much information we throw at you if you have not defined what you want. So, how do you start this definition? Everybody should be a blank canvas. That's today why we're talking about redefining. A blank canvas. The problem with where we are carrying so many things in defining what we want. So many things have influenced us, yeah, in defining what we want. So on this blank canvas, like a lot of artists have blank canvases. Do you see the paintbrush telling the artist what to paint? No. So, expecting money to tell you what to do and what to want is the paintbrush expecting the artist to tell it what to do. The artist expecting the paintbrush to tell him or her what to paint. What are you painting on the blank canvas? What are you painting on the blank canvas? And we have to learn to separate our circumstances. And I want you to talk to the person next to you about this. Have a blank canvas ready. Separate to right now, force your mind to separate your circumstances from what you want. And indeed what you can do. And you know why you can do it? Because you were born with a frequency. It just came with you. So before we talk about anything else, and even how to equip you, just already understand you are already born with it. We were told go forth and multiply. As Waithaka said in Centonomy, we actually believe wealth is for everybody. So the world operates in opposite to what it's supposed to be. It is supposed to be for everyone. So just understand you are already born with it. But what do you want? Now you are sitting here and there's going to be a movie screen of your life. What is in that movie? And don't just state the obvious. Everybody was said, everyone wants more money. Everyone wants a home. Everyone wants a car. We have all put up our hands for that. But why? How does it cause change in your life? That is what you want. You're looking for something that causes change. That is why you're here today. You're looking for something that causes change. So on your blank piece of paper, and not actually talk to the person next to you, just state 2 or 3 things. What do you want? Not what you are expected to want. And for right now, please put aside all other circumstances. But do you know that, does Waceke know how much debt I mean? Does Waceke know about my mother? Does Waceke? For now, just put it aside. I know there are obligations in our lives, and I'm coming to that. But please take a moment to write something about what you want, not what your obligations are. Okay? I'm going to give you like 2 or 3 minutes to do that. What you want. If you're online, please be doing this. What do you want? Nobody's aspiration is to pay off debt. It is something you have to do, but that's not your full aspiration of life, is it? No. And I want some brave people to share what they want. Because you know, when you verbalize something, it starts to become real. So Waithaka, you can help me get a few brave people to start saying and claiming, what do you want?
Just there we go. Someone good. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi.
Hi.
I actually was not writing when you were asking what do you want?
Yeah.
Mine were written on 9th January. That is why I'm here. And the first one is a drone, an FPV drone, because I like taking photos. The next one is to start a laundry services that gives you your clothes when you want them, where you want them. For campus students only. And one that is close to my heart is called trafficking counseling. I have seen friends struggle with drug addiction, and you know how much rehabs cost. So my goal is to find a way of having these services available for free.
You. Well done. Well done.
Kiputo is
Okay, there's a
one.
hand just there.
Yes.
Just there. You missed her. Just there.
Yeah. Oh wait.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Yes.
My name is Nyabera.
Yes.
I'm usually very shy, especially about saying personal things. So this is a big deal for me. On a personal level, I want to spend time with my children, not just now,
Yeah.
but until whenever. On a career point of view, I want to cause people to make change in their lifestyles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And healthcare. Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Wow.
Wow. Huh?
Hey, on the side.
Yes, my name is Anne, and this is what I want. I want to provide employment opportunities to our Kenyan youth through a Kenyan manufacturing company that manufactures skincare products.
Wow. Oh, wow, wow.
Did you hear how specific that was?
Yes.
There was
I'm
someone
loving
there.
it.
Yes. You?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Mbugua. I want to retire.
Did you hear one more time?
I want to retire.
Okay. All right.
He wants to retire.
He wants to retire.
But at 40. That
Okay.
was the one that was not going. Yes, yes.
My name is Christine. So I've written down what I want right now. Is that I want a stable and comfortable life, and a family and a strong family legacy, where everyone, myself and my family, can have an opportunity to enjoy their passions and dreams without any worries about financial hindrances.
Wow. And
Anyone
then this
on
side,
just
this
check
side
it, because this
is
is
quiet.
the
There's
end
there.
I'm coming round that way. Just let's give them a chance on this side. Just as a response to that, did you hear about that? I want my life to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
What does comfort mean to you? Is comfort a 1 bedroom? 2? 3? At what point is comfort there? That's what I'm wondering about. You see that you started off with a dream. Now we have to become specific. Who was it? This lady. Thank you. Hi.
My name is Rai. So, first of all, I'd like security for my son. He's 9 months, so security in terms of school fees, a home, transport, a car for myself, and all that. And second, I want to leave a legacy. And one way is to build a company where anything happens, my son can run it or something like that. And also a legacy in terms of my mom used to help people in the community, however that may look like.
Amazing, amazing. Just to think about it like this as we get to the next one. School. You want your son to go to school. Which one? Which private school? Do you see what happens now? Because it's not the same to go to the local university as it is to go to which one? Makerere? Which one? Cape Town? Which one? Is it the same? So we have to plan that way. Yes. I saw a hand here. It was yes?
Hi. Wow.
Specific. I don't know how much time.
Okay, we can take two more.
Two more.
Yeah?
Hi everyone. So my name is Wanjeri, and being bold, I start speaking it. So this year my goal is to start creating a sustainable future for myself in terms of my income, and that is to start a company offering services in AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. My goal is to focus on the Asia Pacific market. I've already started working on the brand, and I'm hoping that I'll be successful to get to that space.
Excellent.
You have to be a bit gender sensitive. One more from here at the back, also location wise.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm 18 years old. I'm called Mbugua, and I came here because I wanted to learn about passive income. Instead of going to work and doing what I really don't want to do, I'm doing what I want to do with my own free time. In terms of, I spend time with the people I want and enjoy doing the things I want personally without interest.
Yeah. Okay. Waithaka, the last one, because of time. Was there anyone else? We're done. Oh, can you see the hands now? Everyone was so quiet before. Now everybody wants to speak. Yeah.
Hi everyone. My name is Esther, and I have a list of what I want. I don't want to ever worry about money. I want a peaceful mind. I want a house by the beach. I want which beach? Somewhere maybe in Malindi. I want a Ford Ranger, burnt orange. I want to afford trips to wherever I want, whenever I want. And I want my business to run without it.
What's your name, Esther? You're me. You are me. I want a Ford Ranger orange. I want a house in Watamu. I want to travel wherever I want. In fact, I want to live anywhere in the world. 6 months Cape Town, 6 months Watamu, 6 months Bali, and not have to worry about how that is being financed. And then I just work online. Yeah? That's what I want. You are me. You are me. Yeah? Now, how do you feel? And I know we couldn't hear everybody because of time, but I now started seeing everybody wants to communicate what they want. How did you feel? Just articulating it, and even if you didn't get a chance to say it, you wrote it down, it's somewhere. Even if it didn't come today, you started thinking about it. What is the difference in that frequency? What is the difference in that frequency? Joy. Did you feel joy? Did you feel in spite of any circumstance you may be in? Did you feel excitement? Did you feel hope? Now you must keep plugging. That is your frequency. That is you. Nobody else. And I think for me, Centonomy is the biggest testimonial of my life because I started it when I had nothing in the bank. Yet I am here starting a business that is actually teaching people about money. I had no money. You can imagine that my circumstances were not telling me I could do this. People who loved me, who are very close to me, were trying to find me a job because they was like, this crazy venture she's starting. Does she know what she's doing? Yeah? But it's that frequency.
I can feel hope. I could tell, first of all, my own personal lessons, but I could tell when I'm talking to people, we are all in this mindset, and we are all feeling that things won't get better. And I was like, no, I am separating myself from your circumstances. So to get what you want, the first thing you have to do is understand that your circumstances are your circumstances. They do not define you. They do not define where you need to go. All it is asking you is to become a bit of a risk taker, to be a bit more courageous and start doing those things that you thought you cannot do. It doesn't mean we are going to ignore obligations, but obligations don't stop you from wanting what you want. That is why if you've been in a life of all you're doing is obligations, you are asking yourself, I have done all these obligations, why am I not happy? Have you found yourself like that? Where you're meeting your obligations, you're paying the school fees, you're sending money home, but why are you not happy? Because you were never meant for a life of only obligation. You are meant for a life of abundance, which you get to define, because you are given a free will and a frequency to go with that free will in order to define it. So are you living up to your own potential? Are you living up to the life that is already there for you for the taking? And to continue being on this energy we saw here today, all that it requires is that you keep plugging into places that have that energy. The poverty support group is not going to help you here. Oh, things are so bad. Oh, the economy. Oh, the business environment. Oh, did you see? That is called the poverty support group. We call that at Centonomy the poverty support group. So you must ditch the poverty support group. And if you are the leader of the poverty support group, step down as the leader of the poverty support group. Okay? So, there's a journey. Yeah? And we come back to the journey. The difference between where you are today and what you want is your journey. It is a process, it is a journey, but there are steps you must take. But more importantly, there's a mindset that you must have to accelerate this journey. A lot of us have stayed in survival for too long, and we wonder why you keep getting survival. You focus on survival, what do you keep getting? Survival. So Centonomy, we are not about survival. If you come to us and your testimonial is, I survived, that's just not what we are after. Yeah? It is, I have thrived. I have built a business. It's, I bought my home. It is a legacy. I'm spending time with my kids. So when you say that, even the way you organize your financial life is not one where you're working 20 hours a day. It is one that is giving you the flexibility to spend time with your kids. That is what wealth is. Wealth is not having money. Wealth is understanding what you value and being able to use the tools that you have to be able to get what you value. So if you're living a life that you value and it is sustainable, then you are wealthy. It doesn't mean you're driving the biggest car on the road, because trust me, there are many people driving big cars, speeding down the highway of poverty in their luxury vehicles or their luxury houses. That's not what you want. So, a couple of points to accelerate this journey. Can we go for acceleration now? Yep. Yeah, it's mostly mindset based. Let's start with money. Those of you who are employed, how many are employed? A salary is a good thing to have, very good thing. But, as young friend said here about passive income, you are not going to achieve what you want just on a salary. Can I just call facts? It is a fact. And whether you run a business or you're employed, we are in the season where entrepreneurial thinking is a must, even with your own money. And I realized salary is a trap a long time ago. My brother lives out of the country. He lives in Australia. And my sister and I had both just started our business. Of course, new businesses, we are struggling. We don't have savings, we don't have money. But we had to go see my brother. And we were wondering how we were going to make it work. And as we were having this conversation, a friend of hers who was high-flying in the corporate world had us talking, and while we were figuring out how to fund our tickets to Australia, he came and he said he could never go to Australia, it's too expensive. We looked at him in shock, because we're like, if we had your salary, we'd not just go to Australia, we'd fly business class, and then after Australia, we go to New Zealand, after that, we cross over to Europe. How are you stuck in I can't afford it? And he named something about his employer is the one who always funds trips, and so when it's by himself, he doesn't have his employer's income, so he can't go to Australia. And I'm really talking about those times earning at least 700,000 shillings. We were hardly making a tenth of that, and we're trying to figure out how to fund tickets. So we could not believe how he cannot see that with 700,000 shillings, he can travel the world up, down, and that's just 1 month. Well, like, just give us 1 month of your income. Surely, us guys will be sorted out. And that's why you've got to understand salary is a good thing. But what do we make it? What do we make our salary? We earn a certain amount, say 300,000 shillings, 200, 100, 400, whatever it is. What do you make that salary? Think about it. Doesn't it become your limit? Whether you realize it or not. That salary is just what somebody is paying you currently for the value they deem you to have in that place. But that's not the only thing you can do. Even when you start looking at what you want and people, have you ever thought you could make income outside your job? And the thing is, we ignore small amounts. Sometimes it starts with small amounts. I used to be paid like about 2,000, 3,000 shillings per article. It was a small amount, I could have ignored it. But look what it became. A series of those articles became a lot of things I have written about in the book. They helped me actually with the content of Centonomy. In this same Australia trip, because we had decided to go despite not having money, I then ran into somebody who worked at Emirates, and that time it was a bit loose. He then put me under family, and I got a half-price ticket. Imagine, had I not decided to go, that conversation would never have happened. I would have met him. He would have just said, I work at Emirates, me I'd have been like, I'm in business, and then we ran off in different directions. But once he said Emirates, he's like, hey, I told him, this is my problem. Is there any way around it? How does one go to Australia when they can't afford the airfare? He's like, oh, there's an opening, we've been allowed to introduce new family members, for now you're my sister. Finished. End of story. Okay? They soon found, later they cleaned up their family register. I can no longer, yeah? So even if you have a job, don't sit in a job, sit in solving a problem, even at your organization. Because when you sit in solving a problem, you then become part of the value conversation. If you can prove you have value, then you start your negotiations based on value, not my salary should be. See yourself as a problem solver and understand the value that problem helps you with, yeah? Goals are supposed to change. In a Centonomy 101 class, this is what we make people do. Goals are supposed to change how you act today. We are not interested in just the goals you can set with your current incomes. Oh, so you can save 20,000 shillings today. Fine, start saving and investing it. But next year, let's talk about how that is going up to 50,000 shillings. And that is the transformation you're seeing with people in the Centonomy 101 program. Goals change something about you today. If you have a goal and it has not changed anything about you today, stop wasting everybody's time and cancel that goal. Are we together? Stop it. It has to change something today. What have your goals changed about you today? Are they changing who you talk to? Are they changing how you spend time? Are they changing how you challenge yourself? What have your goals actually changed about you today? We believe in giving your money a job description. So just like you, your job description evolves, it changes because the needs of the organization change. Your business, it changes. Your own job in your business changes. So even for your money, the JD cannot remain at say 10,000 shillings a month or 20,000 shillings a month. We've got to aim where? Higher. Forever saying you can't afford to do something will ensure you are never able to afford to do it. Let me repeat that. Forever saying you can't afford to do something will ensure you are never going to be able to afford it. a couple of years ago, we got into a very exclusive program run by Stanford Centonomy. And one, I didn't have the money, of course, but two, our company was a bit smaller and didn't have some of the things they had initially wanted from the companies, and it was extremely highly competitive. So they rejected me the first year, and then I told them exactly what was wrong with their rejection. I challenged them on every policy they have. Yani, the next year came, when we put in our application, I was even told, yours is just a formality. You're in. They did not want to go through that again. Yet I could not afford it. But then comes installments, then comes we will figure it out, then comes we'll just, and by the end of the year we had paid what we need. But I was like, this is the right program for us. So many people who have come here say, I'll come for Centonomy later. Please remember, Waithaka was still talking to you. Things are not, the things you're saying you can't afford, they're not getting any cheaper. Do you understand that? Not come for Centonomy, please pay more. Yeah? So, or anything else that you want to do. So you've got to say, okay, is the money in the bank today? No. But can I make my first commitment? Once you make a commitment, let me tell you, and you know how this has worked in your life, your mind starts operating differently. So many people say, I didn't come for Centonomy because I didn't know I have money, but I did that thing you told me of tracking my expenses, and during the 3 months I spent 80,000 shillings I didn't need to. How much is the cost? Not even that. Yeah, so don't convince yourself you can't afford this. Think how, because our mindset is not, let's work within your limitations. Our mindset is, how do I get to do it? Not because that's how we live our lives. That's how I've grown this company. That's simply how I've done it. It's not because someone gave me 10 million shillings to start with. Don't do things at your level. You know that saying, live within your means. It has some credibility in terms of, yeah, don't overspend and get in debt and all that. But honestly, don't do things just at your level. Don't talk to people just at your level. Who has done what you aspire to do? Go look for them. Go talk to them. Don't just talk to your friends at your level. Yeah? In the book I talk about Douglas, who realized that if his employer let go of him, he will not survive. Then he started thinking, how do I use my communications ability? He's still employed, and he's a perfect example. And he came to Centonomy of how entrepreneurial ability, even while you're employed, also works. He started using that communication ability, got other jobs, and that's why there's a chapter in the book called How Douglas Made 10 million shillings. Not how Douglas made 100,000 shillings. Not how he just saved. Not how he just paid off debt. He did all that but made 10 million shillings and then more. So it cannot be, I can't do it now, I can't afford the time. You have got to make a decision for yourself. Are you worth it? Ladies and gentlemen, are you worth it? Are you worth it? Because the government is not going to do it for you. The bank is not going to do it for you. Are you worth it? Are you this step that says, I am going to make this move for me, whether or not I know whether I should do? There's a reason you are here, there's something. Now, for people in business, let me talk to the people in business, and people who want to start businesses, because a lot of people, even if you're employed, you kind of want to do both, correct? What do you want? In Centonomy, because of the businesses that I had run, I was crystal clear that I want a business that runs without me. Crystal clear. I wrote it down when I was starting Centonomy in 2009 in my journal. And in that same journal and that same page, I also wrote I will write a book. Although I had not even written one article today, but I had said I will write a book. That's what I'm saying, you have to live beyond your circumstances, yeah? It changed everything in the way I run that business. My processes, my structures, the clients, how I market. And someone mentioned brand. That's when I decided Centonomy's brand is going to be bigger than any one individual. And in fact, it is. Centonomy is not about Waceke or Waithaka. The brand itself is bigger than any one individual. It just changed how I look at things, and it changed the ability of the business to multiply. and allowed me to use time in the most beneficial way. What is the most beneficial way? The way that is in line with my frequency. Are we together? So those in business, what do you want? It's not just about I want to grow a business. For me, if this business was 100% dependent on me, it would be big, maybe, but it's not what I want because, as I said, I have to go and live in Watamu. So it's not delivering what I want. Remembering your business in itself can be a wealth creation vehicle. You can take a holiday, you can step out of it, and it can pay for you, and it can grow up to the size that people actually want to buy that business or buy into that business. So we're no longer doing business just for the sake of I have a car business. Yeah? It is a wealth creation vehicle and can achieve the things that you are saying for you to run the business. The way for people who have a salary, I said salary can be a trap. For those in business, I'm going to say not having a salary can be a trap. Because we are constantly funding our businesses somehow. It's using our labor, but we never want to value ourselves. So in the Centonomy Entrepreneurial program, we go through how do you actually make money from your business? Because if you are not making money for your business, then why are you running this business? And for sure, if you are not paying yourself in your business, it means in some sort of way you are underpricing your product or service. You're only saying, let this business make 100,000 a month, but you've not put your time in there. Well, it should be making 150. So if it makes 100,000 a month, you're like, we are fine. You're not fine. Is this charity? Are we here for charity? So we've got to stretch ourselves. So not having a salary in your business. That concept is explained so much in the Centonomy Entrepreneurial program, all the way to how that relates to how you can raise capital. You cannot raise capital in most cases if you're not being paid yourself properly. Because your business will be devalued because of that. Things that we explain in the business class. The definition of yourself in business determines where you go, like anything else. We ask you, are you a printing business or are you a branding business? So you could be printing business cards. So what do most people say? I print. But if you say you're branding, doesn't the opportunity open up? You could have started with printing, but now you say branding, opportunities open up. That's just an example. When I first started Centonomy, I called it personal finance training because that is what I saw. So the product I had in mind, I called it. But very quickly, I switched it to Centonomy because it became about financial freedom in all ways, through your career, business, through your money, not just personal finance training. So how you define yourself is critical to you getting what you want. And last thing, this is for everybody, but I know entrepreneurs face this a lot, and we are the only entrepreneurship class to have a 3-hour session on fear, because we know it holds us back. But fear is so that you understand who is actually making the decisions in your life, and how do you start controlling that or being aware of it enough so you step out of the box. So to wind this up, I just want to tell you one thing. The flaw in your life can be anything. Like we saw in the pandemic, no fault of anybody here, but did the pandemic change life for a lot of people? Yeah? And that was no fault of anybody here. So there are things that are going to happen in life that you cannot control. Yeah? A pandemic can happen. Some people found themselves almost instantly without an income, salary cuts, and the effects of the pandemic on businesses are being felt until today. Yeah? That nobody could see. So it can be anything. You lose a loved one, there's inflation, something happens with the economy. So the flaw can be anything. But the ceiling of your life is you. That is the responsibility you have. So if you want your ceiling this high, it is you who has determined that. If you want it this high, it is you. If you want it that high, it is still you. So you will only grow. So the flaws will be there. And we are all so scared of the flaws that we keep looking at the flaw. You can't build a ceiling while looking at the flaw. What kind of ceiling are you? A low ceiling, medium ceiling, a high, in respect to where you want to be. So the ceiling of your life is you. It is only by you improving yourself, you redefining yourself, you planning around yourself, that you get to rise up. So that even when the flaws come, the hard knocks come in your life, you are better prepared for it, and even better prepared. If you need to reinvent yourself, you are better prepared to reinvent yourself for that. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope that has caused some changes, and even as we launch into this year.
I couldn't stop but wonder after that phone call about how amazing the customer experience was from Ruby. I called her, and the first thing she asked me, the pain points and the fears I was experiencing. That is not something that's common with most businesses in our country. You will call and you say what you want, and that's the end of the phone call. But for this one, it was more of as if I'm building a rapport with somebody I've not yet seen. It's just an inquiry, and the call took slightly. The call took like 20 to 30 minutes, and most of the people who attended the webinar, the free webinars organized by Centonomy, you also agree that Centonomy is a very organized company, don't you? From the way they present themselves, the slides, the passion from the trainers in the delivery of the information, it's something I sincerely appreciate from Madam Waceke to the lead trainer, Mr. Waithaka, and the entire of the Centonomy team. My name is Ojuka. I'm a 21-year-old young entrepreneur. I manage and run an institution called Martin's Advanced Hair and Beauty College. At Martin's Advanced Hair and Beauty College, our goal is to produce leaders in the hair and beauty industry. Though I wanted to begin my speech today, not from this business, but from the first time I considered myself an entrepreneur. I cleared my Form 4 in 2019, and during that year, I had a desire of building an empire. I didn't know how to define what empire I wanted to build, but it was just in my head that I want to build an empire. So, beginning of 2020, which is famously known as the COVID year, I left Nairobi for Kisumu to go and build an empire. I didn't know where I'm going to start from. But what I did is a brief due diligence on agriculture. Nyanza is a consumer region, by fact. It's fed, it is incapable of feeding its own self. So it depends on other regions to feed its people. That was a fact and an opportunity I saw for myself. So I said, I'm going to Kisumu to start farming. Zero capital, zero education, like just a strong gut feeling and confidence that this is what I want to do. So I get to Kisumu, and my grandfather thought I was absolutely crazy, because who leaves Nairobi to come and stay in Kisumu? Actually, people are busy studying hard here in Kisumu to go to Nairobi for the city life. So for all my stay in Kisumu, he thought I was very crazy, and I decided to start with Dania. Why Dania? I did another brief due diligence, and so it was a crop that I would grow and harvest in the shortest time, which is harvesting between 21 to 28 days. So I started growing Dania with the fact of feeding the people in
this region called Nyanza, but I'm starting with Dania. So I would tell people this dream, they're like, actually your grandfather is right, you're very crazy. This can't even work. But I will still focus on me and my small Dania empire. So I will grow Dania, and after harvesting the Danias, I will tie them into bunches of 50 shillings each, not less than 50 bunches. And the demand of the Danias in the local market, as I was interacting with the mama boggers, was crazy. It's like walking into a room and all of you are running after me for the produce I have. It was something that took me a lot of time to understand, because if you know Dania corianders in English, it's a very basic vegetable, but imagine it's on a very high demand. So on a day, I will make 2,500 shillings on a day. The number of phone calls increased. I also learned that the success of farming is defined by the market. So I purely focused on corianders. But as I continued to be more popular with the mama boggers around the region, it got overwhelming for me because I cannot meet their demand. Because I was planting my Danias in a stage like this. Now let's assume this is land. This is where I will plant them. And imagine now I have to supply them to like 5 local markets. So I don't know who to supply to and who to give to. That was a challenge for me. So it went on and on. And in a week, I will make not less than 10,000 shillings. So making money wasn't the problem. But at the beginning of every week, I will have not less than 2,000 shillings in my pocket. How I consumed the money is a question, is an answer I never want to figure out till today. But I kept on with my venture, though the relationship and the rapport I had built with the vendors was no longer sustainable because I'm unable to meet their demand. But crystal clear in my head, I understood that in order for this dream of mine to actualize and grow from not only Danias to even more vegetables, I need to understand how to run and manage a business professionally. If I had that information, then my dream could be coming along. So after, the other thing I learned is that it is much more expensive to acquire a new client than to retain the one you have. Because now after damaging these relationships with the mama boggers in the market, imagine now I have to go and convince them that I'm not that bad, I can still supply. They don't want anything to do with me. They are not giving you any other opportunity to even listen to you. So that was it between myself and themselves, because I'm also ruining their businesses. They are to supply to their customers. So they went back to the people from Kisii and wherever they were getting their produce. I sat down with myself and said, I really need to understand how a business is run. I decided to hold my empire and come back to Nairobi so as to get knowledge on how to run and manage a business that can run professionally. When I came back to Nairobi, I had quite a lot of time by myself. And what I will do, the school, Martin's Advanced Hair and Beauty College, was founded by my mother. But by then, for me, it wasn't existing. So I wanted to understand. So I will spend a lot of time with her. Now I go to the office and see the students do the hair and beauty services. In interact with the students, sit down with my mother, understand how she runs the business. And one thing happened that changed the entire dynamic of my entrepreneurship journey. A group of students left Nakuru to come and visit her. And the purpose for them to come and visit her was to thank her for their time at the school during the training. They were saying how it's because of her they can now believe that there's more to life than what they were currently experiencing. And for me, I just paused and asked myself, so this is not just about hair and beauty. There's an impact that they've gotten here at the school, yenye imekutoa Nakuru, to come and thank us personally. So I got to understand the business in depth. And most of the challenges I realized the school was facing are some of the things I might say I was experiencing in the farm. By then I had interacted with Centonomy, and I knew Centonomy is what I need to get into in order to understand business properly. I took that leap of faith, and mid last year, I joined the program. Two things have stood out for me in the program. One, there is a class we were taught by Mr. Waithaka on structure and strategy. And he taught about the business model canvas. I got to understand our clientele in depth, because before I just thought we are attracting a young girl or a young man who's coming to study and beauty. But now I can define my clientele better and say that I'm targeting that premium client, that client who travels globally, that client whose schedule is busy throughout the month, who walks into a salon, a spa and a barber shop, and knows exactly the kind of service he or she needs to get. It's not only a haircut, but something more than just a haircut. So by understanding that, we were able to streamline our trainings for the students in a way that we deliver that for them and exceed the expectations, so that even as they get into these spaces and interact with such clienteles, they're able to exceed the expectations. That really stood out for me. The second class was on fear and vision. Madam Waceke gave us an assignment, and this was personal because I'm young. The assignment was, imagine yourself at 90, write a letter to your younger self, and you thank this person for the things you've done that have made you where you are at that age. Now you imagine yourself at 90 and you're writing a letter to your younger self. When I got to write that letter and read it over and over again, it did something that changed my mind shift entirely. And the thing was, before I was motivated by poverty. I just never wanted to be poor. I never wanted to be broke. The word broke was just scared me. But when after that assignment, after doing that assignment, I understood. My motivation was now in the person I want to be. That the person I'm looking forward to be in the next 10 years. That is what motivates me today. When I wake up, it's that person I look up to that motivates me and keeps me going. Where I see the business in the next 10 years is what motivates me and keeps me going. That really, those two classes were my favorite. That every day I wake up and think about them, I can't stop but just fathom of the impact it has had in the business and in my life as an entrepreneur. Most importantly, I wanted to speak to that person in this room today who believes that there is more to life than what they are currently experiencing. There is more to life than what your business is currently experiencing. I wanted to speak to you today and tell you that it only took me 3 months to understand how to manage and run a business professionally. Today, the school, the Hair and Beauty College, runs very well, profitably. Another thing Mr. Waithaka emphasized was the first rule of business is to make profit. So if you're in business and you're not making profit, that's not a business, it's a hobby. So I can say the college is running profitably here today. Back in Kisumu, the empire, I told you guys I held. I continued in the empire. Right now we are producing capsicums and we are supplying to a market called Jubilee Market. It's one of the biggest markets in the region, but the opportunity in agriculture in that region is something I can't even feel by myself, because I'm only dealing with 2 vendors who keep on calling me weekly. They need more supplies, they need more supplies, and they need more supplies. And I can't lie to you guys, the fruit and the success behind these 2 businesses have been Centonomy. As I said, it's taken me 3 months of attending those classes to understand the do's and don'ts in a business. You see, most probably, the thing we lack is somebody to direct us and show us the way to go in our entrepreneurship and business life. But what Centonomy Entrepreneurship program does for you is it gives you that map that, you know what, don't go like this, use this route and you'll be able to make profit. I stand here comfortably today, stress-free, managing good businesses with good exposure from the program, thanks to amazing trainings from both the programs. And if you're still hanging on the fence on whether or not I should or should not join the program, the difference between where you are and where you want to be is what you do. What you do with your choice. We often live life by chance and not by choice. But we have a deliberate decision to make. A deliberate decision of, should I join the program and make my business even better? The SI unit of success in your entrepreneurship life, the SI unit of success in your business is Centonomy Entrepreneurship Program. Thank you very much. And I will
Can you give him another hand? Can you imagine if he's 21 if I was like that? Where would we be? Ladies and gentlemen, we're just about to close this out. And I want to mention this. There is a cultural shift that we must have in business. We in this nation, and I respect our president, and I believe that he's doing something amazing with this idea of the Hustler Fund, because what he's trying to do is to give employment so people can be able to work. But the issue with staying at the hustler level is that you are essentially self-employed. And we need to begin to shift from that hustler mindset of making money from business to building a business that makes money. And so if we can spend just a few minutes, I want to give you highlights for those who said I want to get into business, and many of us want to get into business in this space. Can I give you some few pointers so that you can go home and begin to think about your business differently? Number one, write this down. As he said, profit is the aim of business. Profit. And so it's vital that we get to that point where we understand what profit is. Profit is the aim of every business. Thank you for stealing my words. Yes, I appreciate it. It meant you spent time paying attention to that. Profit is the aim of business. Every business. That's the difference between a business and a hobby or anything else, or an NGO or all those other things. Profit is the aim of business. However, write this down in all caps, as in capital letters. Write down, profit is not my money. And if you're eating profit, then we know there's a difference in what's going on actually as far as businesses are concerned. So can we give you a quick example of what that means, just so that we get what we're talking about? So James runs a bakery, and James is doing this. All his friends told him, your cake is special. No one else bakes a cake like you, so please sell it to the market. So James says, everyone has told me to start a business, I start. So he starts selling his cake at 1,000 bob. That 1,000 bob is, he knows this is what the market can be able to achieve. But he does his maths. See, everybody has taken us through this whole idea of learning about business. You can't sell the product for less than what it costs to make. So James knows the ingredients, the flour, the eggs, the butter, all those things. His special ingredient that makes his cake possible is 500 shillings. The price of the cake is what? 1,000 bob. So what does James make? People knew it was a trick question. What does James make? We don't know. I think somebody here got the right answer. We don't know. Why? Because the difference between what it costs and the price that is there is not James what he makes, or is it a profit? It is not. Please write this down so you never forget. It is called a gross profit. As simple as possible. This gets, as in we can extrapolate a lot more times, but I want us to understand that is not profit. This is the problem with the hustler mentality, because at that level, that is profit. But in business, that is not profit. You call it gross. Why? Can I ask you a few questions? Who baked the cake? So if James baked one cake, is he worth 500 bob? Where was the cake baked? In an oven, yes? Where was that oven? In a house, James's house. Is your house free? All of those who say, I work from home, therefore I don't have a rent cost. See, we are all here. I work from home, so your home is free. Can I please have one of your rooms, since it is free? That's not how it works. So the difference between a business and the hustle and side hustle mentality is you actually account for every cost. Can we look at James's cost in the most simple way that we're looking at it? So James has to think, even if he's working from home, his home is not free. So there's a cost for the space in which he's working. All of you who are consultants, I don't have, briefcase businesses. Imagine you live somewhere, you call people from somewhere, there is a cost to that. There's utilities, you use electricity to use water, you use all those things. Transport, even if you're just going to the bank and coming back, there is a cost. Where did the ingredients come from? Did they just show up in his house? He drove somewhere, he took a matatu somewhere, he did something that cost him money to get the ingredients. They came back. What is that? It's a cost. So if he sells one cake, it doesn't make any sense. Marketing, even if it is marketing of just going to meet a client and saying, hey, would you like a cake? Putting a post on Instagram. It took time for him to do that. There's a cost there. And then the one that we forget the most, labor. James took time to do a few things. How did the cake get made? Tell me, shout out at me. How did the cake get made? He did what? Shout like with confidence. Someone. He baked it. He baked what? The ingredients, where did they come from? From the shop. How did he know which ingredients to get? He did what? He researched. Good. And then he managed it. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. In any company that you know that is successful, who tends to be paid the most in the organization? Who? The who? Not just the CEO. The management. Because many times we think this cake just made itself. James had to think, plan, prepare, advance. Who is doing that in your business? That is also a cost. And if you don't include that cost, what Sheke said earlier on, we may be underpricing our businesses, especially consultants. Because we think the work, this is Waithaka, me I'm number one. When I was doing my business, I thought that my work was when I'm doing the project. So I'll put my cost for the project. But how did I get the project? How was I accounting for it? What else was going on? I never put that price there. So think about it like that. And write this down in case you want. Profit is defined as the financial benefit gained when sales revenue, so the amount of revenue, cash coming in to the business, exceeds, please write it in all caps again. What is this? All. And if you don't have all your costs, you can be running a business for 10 years and never make a profit. So please pay attention. Money going out of producing the product or the service. So here's how to think about it. Yes, the ingredients were 500 bob, yes, but there were other costs, as we said. In that place, his rent, even if he took just the space that he's doing in his office is 5,000 bob. The utilities that he's using, hey, how did he get the client? Did he use his phone? Was there internet that was required? Did he use water in that same space? Yes, 3,000 bob. Transport, 2,000. If you think about it in total in that month, marketing, he put 1,000 bob, and then his labor, he said for himself, this is what I'm worth. And if I don't at least pay for this amount, and sometimes people wonder, how I know that's a question coming when we do the Q&A, how do I know how much to pay myself, correct? If you don't know how much you're valued, at least look at your competitors and see, for somebody doing the work that I'm doing, how much do they get paid? You have a benchmark. So he said, for the work I'm doing, 40K. What is that he's doing? Marketing, baking, accounting, sales, transport, managing this business. Now it becomes very clear that the total amount is 51,000 bob. So here's how you think about a business, not a side hustle. In a side hustle, you buy ingredients for 500, sell it for 1,000, you've made 500. In a business, if you did that, you have not made anything. Are we together? So watch what happens now. The cost of running this business is how much? 51,000. If he makes anything less than 51,000, this business is in loss. So I want us to learn a new term, because this term has been confused by many people. It is called the break-even point. Now listen to me. Break-even is not the point at which you get back the money that you invested in the business. See, there are some people who thought that this business, when it pays me back what I invested, that is not the break-even point. Listen, break-even point in a business point at which the revenue generated, cash coming in, is exactly equal to the cost of running that business. What did we say the cost of running this business is? 51,000 bob. So we can calculate. We can do this together. If he sells, now watch this, if he sells 102 cakes, right? That's 102 times 1,000 bob. Now we're together, 102,000. The ingredients for those cakes cost 500 per cake times 102, that's 51,000. What is the difference? 51,000. At that point, he has achieved the break-even point. So now that James knows this, he knows he needs to put together a plan to be able to sell how many cakes in a month at minimum? 102. You are a manager now in James's business. What will the targets be for James's business? What will you advise him? How many should he sell in a month to aim to? How many should James aim to sell in a month? How many cakes? Yeah, managers. We're in this room. How many cakes should James aim to make and sell? Give him a target. 200. Why? Because if he makes less, if he makes 102, this business has made no money. Can I show you something powerful though? This is what now you come into the class and we'll be able to break down and actually work on for ourselves. The same calculation as this. 102 cakes, 102 ingredients, all the costs that are there, and we've put this highlight here. On a month that James makes only 102 cakes, he still goes home with a salary. Even if the business has not made money, he has made some money. So the minimum for this business to be viable is how much? 102. If he starts selling cakes, he now knows I must sell more than this. Because what did we say at the beginning of this session was, what is the aim of business? To do what? To make profit so that you can continuously grow. So he aims for 200. Somebody here said 200, so that he can bring home a profit. If we don't get this, we can be in a cycle of business that never moves forward. And we have to break through so that we think differently about the businesses that we're running. That's what the Centonomy Entrepreneur program is about. So we deal with your mindset as an entrepreneur, but we also deal with the practical side of how you are able to build. The class starts on the 8th of February, just a day after the 101 class. Tuition is 57,000, and you register with 1,000 bob today, just 1,000 shillings on the same registration that we're going through. The class goes through all these modules that are here: entrepreneurship mindset, design thinking, fear vision, how I make money in business, that's my favorite class, structure, marketing, digital marketing, accounting. And each one of these classes, just like the 101 class, is taught by industry experts. But the difference with the entrepreneurship program is that these experts that we have found, please, they should not come and tell you theory. They must come and tell you what has worked for them and what works with them. They must also understand where you're coming from as an entrepreneur, each one of them. And we spent multiple classes talking about money because we said profit is the aim of every business. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. The class starts and you come in the same program. It's once per week for 14 weeks. This one is 14 weeks. The 101 program is 12 weeks. We have a class on Wednesday at 6 p.m. and a class on Saturday at 9 a.m. The same class is taught in that week. And we deliver through Zoom, just as we have said before. So you can register today, and then you can pay the fees in installments as we have written them there. So first installment 20, 20, and then 17, so that we complete that every month. You make that installment as you're coming through. So that you have the details, you can take a quick screenshot so you can be able to have them with you. The registration through M-Pesa, same number, 986850, but here's the difference so that we know which class you're coming from. Your name and then ENT, so that we recognize it. 1,000 bob, your name and ENT. Those of you who are paying through the bank, you can be able to use those details. Just as we go to the Q&A session, because I know we've taken a bit more time than we had expected this morning, but it was to shift our mindsets. As we get into that space, I can see one question that is coming. Somebody is asking, should I come for the 101 program or should I come for the entrepreneurship program? Can I help you with that question? Both. But here's how to think about it. That's just a joke. Here's how to think about it. If your primary source of income or planning is business, then the first thing you need to do is get your business to run properly. So if your primary source of income is business, please consider the Centonomy Entrepreneur Program first as a priority. Because when you get the business running, then you have the cash to invest for yourself, which is different. Are we together? So that's the way to prioritize. Many students who come into the entrepreneurship program take the 101 at the same time because you're in a season of learning and you're able to build into both. So if you can do both, please do. So priority, if you are in business and it is your primary source of income, please consider the entrepreneurship program. That's number one. But everybody in the room, including those who are in business, require the 101 program. Because guess what? Your business is not you. You need to think the money that you make from your business, how are you investing so that it takes care of you over your lifetime? Ladies and gentlemen, you need to think deeply about how the shift is going to happen in your life. And it only happens when you make a decision. When you make a decision, it shifts your life. And I'm hoping that you'll make the decision to become part of the Centonomy team and the alumni that we have here. So now we're going to take a couple of questions, and I'll need some help. I don't know who can, Steve, I know you can't be able to help me at this point, but I'll come down and be able to talk to you. If there are any questions before we do so, I'm going to invite you to register before you go out so you don't get into a line there and have to wait too long. I'll keep the registration details up. Once you've registered on your phone using M-Pesa, you don't have to line up. We've now got your details. We will call you and give you all the breakdown of details, your orientation pack, so that you're ready for the class. If you need more information, please do feel free to see our wonderful staff who are seated at the desk outside there. But I'm trying to save you time. If you register with M-Pesa, you don't have to wait there. We will send you the details. All right?